Welcome back, friends. You are listening to the Juicebox Podcast.
Morning, my name's Heather Ruby.
If you'd like to hear about diabetes management in easy-to-take-in bits, check out the Small Sips. That's the series on the Juicebox Podcast that listeners are talking about like it's a cheat code. These are perfect little bursts of clarity, one person said. I finally understood things I've heard 100 times. Short, simple, and somehow exactly what I needed. People say Small Sips feels like someone pulling up a chair, sliding a cup across the table, and giving you one clean idea at a time. Nothing overwhelming, no fire hose of information, just steady, helpful nudges that actually stick. People listen in their car, on walks, or while they're actually bolusing, anytime that they need a quick shot of perspective. And the reviews, they all say the same thing. Small Sips makes diabetes make sense. Search for the Juicebox Podcast, Small Sips, wherever you get audio. While you're listening, please remember that nothing you hear on the Juicebox Podcast should be considered advice, medical or otherwise. Always consult a physician before making any changes to your healthcare plan or becoming bold with insulin. This episode of the Juicebox Podcast is sponsored by the Contour NextGen blood glucose meter. Learn more and get started today at contournext.com/juicebox. Today's episode is also sponsored by Medtronic Diabetes, who is making life with diabetes easier with the MiniMed 780G system and their new sensor options, which include the Instinct sensor made by Abbott. Would you like to unleash the full potential of the MiniMed 780G system? You can do that at my link, medtronicdiabetes.com/juicebox.
Morning, my name's Heather Ruby.
Heather, I appreciate you having a name that is easy to spell.
Yeah, it is. People still ask me to spell it. You would not be surprised, I guess.
No, wait. They ask you to spell Ruby?
Yes.
Really?
All the time. Yeah, I almost always introduce myself and spell it, actually.
Well, what do you think they're expecting?
I have no idea. I get Rudy, like R-U-D-Y, or I get Rudy, R-U-T-I. I'm not really sure.
Well, you say, hi, I'm Heather Ruby, and they go, Rudy? And you go, yes. No, Ruby. And they go,
yes.
They say
my
Ruby?
favorite is like professional emails where I'll sign my name, Heather Ruby. Mm-hmm. And then I will get an email back and it says, hey, Ruby, blah, blah, blah. And you're like, I sometimes I will sign it back, all caps, Heather.
Have you ever heard me say on the podcast how when we introduce my son, people oftentimes hear Paul, but his name is Cole?
Oh, yeah. Mm-hmm.
That one's interesting to me, too. Hi, this is Cole. Paul? Cole. Paul? Cole.
No.
Paul? What am I saying? It just kind of goes back like that.
Yeah.
All right. Well, anyway, it makes it easier for me in the morning because my old eyes can't see the screen when I first sit down. And I sometimes have to sit down and be like, oh, I saved the file with your name. And, this morning I was like, oh, Heather Ruby. Awesome. This is easy. Yeah. So thank you very much.
Easy for a Monday. Yeah, you're welcome.
Yeah, I take it. So do you have type 1? Do you have a kid with type 1? What is going on?
Yeah, I have a daughter. She's 12 with type 1, diagnosed when she was 3. And then my husband is also type 1. He was diagnosed when he was 7. So he's been diabetic for 40 years back when he was on pork insulin.
Wow. Do you have any other kids besides the daughter?
We have 3 other kids. I have an oldest who's 20, and then my stepson's 19. And then mine and Eric's son together, Asher, he is going to be 14 next week.
Oh, wait. How old are you? Because I saw you for a minute. You don't have a 20-year-old son, do you?
I do. I'm 38. So if you do the math,
I did it.
It was 18. A little surprise.
It was a little surprise. I was just trying to go see a movie, Scott.
Right. Yeah. She was a surprise, but my life wouldn't be where it is, I don't think, without her. So
very nice. Okay. So you got a mixed family there. There's some step moms, dads, kids, sisters, brothers.
Yep.
But the child who has type 1 is with you and your current husband?
Yes.
Yes. Okay. And she's 12, but she was diagnosed when she was 3?
Yeah, diagnosed on Sweetest Day.
Wait, what day?
Sweetest Day in October.
Wait, now I feel like Rudy?
Yeah. Sweetest.
Oh, Sweetest Day.
Yeah.
Is that a day? I don't... know
It's
about?
like a Hallmark holiday, but I just thought it was ironic that it was Sweetest Day when she was
I've
diagnosed.
never heard about it. It's a card thing?
Yeah, it's like some day in October. I don't know.
I don't believe in Arbor Day either.
Yeah, no, it's kind of like that.
I'm just kidding. I do believe in Arbor Day. Okay, so when you get married, how long are you dating before you marry this person?
We almost got married a year to the day of our first date.
Okay.
So we were pretty kind of quick.
How much did you know about his diabetes in that first year?
He handled a lot of it, but I was in a role of sort of a caregiver since I was pretty young. My papa had type 2 diabetes, and so I've been giving shots since I was like 10 years old.
Oh.
My papa taught me how to give he had just long-acting insulin, so I would give him his shots.
Okay.
So I was more familiar with diabetes, I think, than like a regular person.
You're like a little kid rolling around with a syringe, just hitting their grandfather with insulin?
Yeah.
How did that fall to you? I'm so interested.
I think I was like the first grandchild, so I was over there all the time, and he'd just be like, "Hey, sis, go get my shot. I'm going to teach you how to do it." And I was like, "Okay, Papa." And so he taught me how to draw up the insulin and get the air bubble out and do a shot in his arm. And
I'm not going to stay too long on this, but is this like when my dad made me go for cigarettes? Like it was a thing he didn't want to do, or was it him trying to involve you? What do you think it was?
I think, it's probably because of this, but he always told me, he's like, "Heather Marie, you should be a nurse one day. You're just natural, a natural caregiver, a natural caretaker." And I think he just knew that I could do it. And I was like, well, if Papa thinks I can do it, I probably can do it. So
Nice.
I've never been scared of needles or anything, I think, because of that.
Pretty awesome. Give you a little confidence. And tell people now you're an astronaut now, right? You did not become a nurse?
No, I did not become a nurse. But I have been very heavily involved in the caregiver role, increasingly so further in my life, not just diabetes, but we had a cancer diagnosis this year too.
Heather, you're a little bit of a storyteller, setting me up to get me where you want me to go. That's very nice.
Oh, thanks.
Okay. So you've been given shots for a long time, but you're dating a guy who's taking care of it himself. Like, I'm always very interested in the unspoken part of the courtship with the diabetes. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know how to put this. I don't want to be indelicate, but there's no moment where you're just like, the guy I'm with, he seems to have a lot of medical problems, like, or does it not feel like that? Like, I'd love to understand that piece a little better.
Sure, yeah. It never really fazed me. And looking back on it now that my older kids are dating, I think I can't believe that never was a consideration for me, which I guess, like, not to pat myself on the back, but like, I guess I really loved him that it never mattered to me that he had diabetes, But like, for me as a parent now, I'm like, I think maybe that would be something I'd be like, well, you need to really understand that before you commit to this relationship.
Yeah. I mean, I feel the same way. I wonder about it for Arden when she's dating too. Like, is the guy just unaware? Does he not understand the level of, intensity that comes with diabetes? Does he, is he not thinking that, 10 years from now, I might have a kid with this person and that kid might have type 1? Like,
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, or is it just, is it, like you say, just so much in love, you don't really care?
Right. Yeah. I just think I didn't really care. And he I think, like, back to my papa, like, I was just sort of used to it, I guess, like the insulin and things. And then when my husband was doing his shots and everything after or before his meals or whenever, I would just, see him do it. It was really quick. And then it was like not really, it was such a small part of our day, even though it's part of every single part of our day.
Yeah.
You just kind of get used to it, and it's just something that you do.
I wonder what percentage of the people listening right now are singing the song from Yentl. Because you keep saying, Papa, can you hear me?
Yeah.
Right. Like, that's what I'm there's part of me that's like, I wish you would stop saying that so that I can stop thinking it. Okay. All right. So you get married, boom, things are going along okay, have a baby, zing, zing, everything's good. Do you start learning more about the diabetes, or does he keep the same level of distance between you and it in the beginning of your marriage?
I think I definitely looked into it more, with obviously there's a huge difference between type 1 and type 2. And then, I remember early dating and him showing me where the glucagon was and telling me what to do if his sugar got low and he needed that. And I remember like my eyes wide, like, oh wow, this was not ever a conversation I had about type 2 diabetes.
Yeah. Did it feel like a bait and switch scary at that point?
No, I don't think so. I just remember being like, oh, wow, this is a little more intense than the type 2 for sure.
Okay. Well, you're also you seem like a really kind person, so I don't imagine you're judging along the way. But I mean, I'm trying to feel it through, it's not your story, but it could be somebody's story that they're like, whoa, you didn't mention that before I signed up. You know what I mean? Like, what's going on? And I that's what I wondered about. I don't think he was hiding it either, right?
Yeah, he never hid it or anything, and he was always he didn't care if he did a shot in front of other people or whatever. Yeah. It was never a big deal. It was just like, I have diabetes. If it comes up, it comes up. If not, it doesn't matter. It's still part of who I am.
Gotcha. Maybe he just got comfortable enough to start sharing that stuff with you. So that's interesting. Yeah. So do you have any expectation, does he, that you have, how many babies did you make together? Two.
Yeah,
right,
two.
Right.
So we had yours. I had one, he had one, and then we had the two together.
Yeah. And did you have any feelings like, oh, I might have a baby one day with type 1, or is that not a thing that entered your mind?
Kind of, but my stepson has a rare genetic disorder. So he's actually a double organ transplant recipient. From when he was 16, he got that because of his disease. So really what we were worried about was that. Oh. So we got genetic testing together to make sure that I didn't have that same gene that my husband and his ex-wife had to get that disease, because that to us is way more catastrophic, or can be, than the type 1 diabetes. So we were really more focused on making sure when we had kids they didn't have that gene.
Yeah, you had bigger gefilte fish to fry.
Right, exactly.
Mm-hmm. That I just blended together the Yentl thing with the other thing. I mean, basically, I'm a genius. So you were more focused on that. Oh, can I ask what organs did he have transplanted?
Yeah, liver and kidney.
Because of some, a genetic disease that if you told me about it, I'd never heard of it before.
Yeah, it's called methylmalonic acidemia, and it's very rare. It's sort of part of the organic acidemia group of diseases. Mm. So he's being followed by NIH because he's doing so well. It's been amazing. But a lot of kids who have what he has have feeding tubes, and they never walk and they never talk. And he was diagnosed on the newborn screen here in Michigan when he was day 3 years old. Sorry.
Jeez.
And they called the Amy and Eric and said, you have to go to the hospital right now. And he was failure to thrive. And they were kind of trying to figure out exactly what it was. And then they figured that out. So we had to count his protein. He had to be on a special formula that was stripped of the proteins and the acids that offend his body. So until he got that liver and kidney transplant, he was on I think we were up to 36 or 38 grams of protein a day, which for a teenage boy is not a lot. He really couldn't eat meat.
Right. Hey, why were you involved so young in his life?
We know each other. My husband and I have known each other for a really long time, which is probably why we got married so fast. So we knew each other through family and stuff beforehand. So I knew when he was born, and I wasn't really involved. That's just, I know how it went from being married. Okay.
Hey, Heather, just because people are going to wonder, you're not a home wrecker, right?
No, I'm definitely not a home wrecker.
Okay. You're listen, I saw the great gig he had going on over there with the type 1 diabetes and the child with a rare illness, and I thought, let me get involved in this.
Right, exactly, yeah.
So I would imagine because of his situation, the three of you, meaning his ex, you, and your husband, are probably in contact a lot. Is that accurate? Unlike other systems that will wait until your blood sugar is 180 before delivering corrections, the MiniMed 780G system is the only system with meal detection technology that automatically detects rising sugar levels and delivers more insulin as needed to help keep your sugar levels in range, even if you're not a perfect carb counter. Today's episode of the Juicebox Podcast is sponsored by Medtronic Diabetes and their MiniMed 780G system. which gives you real choices because the MiniMed 780G system works with the Instinct sensor made by Abbott, as well as the Simplera Sync and Guardian 4 sensors, giving you options. The Instinct sensor is the longest wear sensor yet, lasting 15 days and designed exclusively for the MiniMed 780G. And don't forget, Medtronic Diabetes makes technology accessible for you with comprehensive insurance support, programs to help you with your out-of-pocket costs, or switching from other pump and CGM systems. Learn more and get started today with my link, medtronicdiabetes.com/juicebox. The Contour NextGen blood glucose meter is sponsoring this episode of the Juicebox Podcast, and it's entirely possible that it is less expensive in cash than you're paying right now for your meter through your insurance company. That's right. If you go to my link, contournext.com/juicebox, you're going to find links to Walmart, Amazon, Walgreens, CVS, Rite Aid, Kroger, and Meijer. You could be paying more right now through your insurance for your test strips and meter than you would pay through my link for the Contour NextGen and Contour Next test strips in cash. What am I saying? My link may be cheaper out of your pocket than you're paying right now, even with your insurance. And I don't know what meter you have right now. I can't say that. But what I can say for sure is that the Contour NextGen meter is accurate. It is reliable, and it is the meter that we've been using for years. contournext.com/juicebox. And if you already have a Contour meter and you're buying test strips, doing so through the Juicebox Podcast link will help to support the show.
Yeah, I mean, we had to pass the information back and forth. You know, Jesse's always been 50-50. So, meaning custody-wise, I'm sorry. And so, you know, he had a chart that we had labeled, you know, for breakfast, lunch, and dinner, how much protein he had so that we could add it up every day and make sure he hit his mark. Because you want him to hit the mark so that he grows. Yeah. But you don't want him too much because that kind of poisons his body. And then, you know, he had a bunch of medications that we had to make sure that he got. And so it required a lot of communication between everybody. Managing
that more or less intensive with your effort, time, and thoughts than diabetes?
More.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So then let's see. How do you notice that it's your daughter? How do you notice your daughter is exhibiting signs of type 1?
Yeah, so she was potty trained and she didn't really take a bunch of naps anymore. And she had one other accident and we were like, that's kind of weird. But then it was a Saturday. We were watching, you know, Michigan football. She was sitting on the couch with us and she fell asleep between us and then she peed during this nap.
Yeah.
And we were like, we just need to check her sugar. So we checked her blood sugar, and I think she was 580. So we knew, we were like, okay, well, obviously she has diabetes. We called ahead to the ER, and I was like, well, I'm coming in. I'm bringing my daughter. She's 3. You're going to tell me she has type 1 diabetes. I'll be there in 30 minutes. Mm-hmm. So when we walked in, they were like, okay, like, how do you know? And listen, my husband has been dealing with diabetes for like 30 years. She peed. She's sleeping more. She's probably more thirsty, and I hadn't picked up on it yet. Her sugar's like 560, and we came in, she wasn't even in DKA. It was the first time that particular doctor had seen a child come in with diabetes and not be sick.
Yeah, you guys found it like right away, right?
Yeah.
Well, okay. Well, that's a positive. Yeah. Then because of your husband having type 1 for so long, do they treat you like you don't need to be told anything? Like, how long are you in the hospital? Did you feel good about what they educated you on?
Yeah, we were in for just 2 days. The real, I guess, biggest adjustment, other than, you know, having a 3-year-old who's like, wait, I have to get a poke every time I want to eat something, was figuring out, you know, her carb ratio and then doing the math, because you don't get to just walk out with a pump. They weren't going to give us a Dexcom in the hospital, but my husband took his off and we put it on her and we hooked it up right away. We just said, we don't care. She's 3. There's no way we're not putting this on her.
Your husband was wearing a CGM and they wouldn't give your daughter one?
Right. They were like, you have to get trained and whatever. We were like, okay, no. We're trained.
I've been on the job training for like a while now.
Yeah. So in the hospitals, I find even this year with dealing with the cancer stuff, the hospitals are really against, I guess, using some of the tech that we are so used to using to manage diabetes. They don't want to have him, like when Eric was in the hospital, they don't want him to use his pump. Like they want to control it. And he said, why would you do that? You're going to make my sugar high when it's automated.
Yeah.
You're going to do me more harm.
Are you rural Michigan or you?
No, we live in like southeastern Michigan. So we're fortunate to be about 30 minutes from U of M. And then we're about an hour from Detroit, like Henry Ford.
Was he able to keep his pump on in that situation?
Yeah, we fought pretty hard for it. And then they also want to do the finger pokes every 4 times a day. And we're like, come on, no.
I think they want to charge you for them.
Yes, that's what we said. We not charge us $100 for every finger poke. You're not doing anything with the data because I'm already way ahead of you.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, boy, that probably has more to do with it than anything, huh?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so she's diagnosed. You use your husband's CGM. What do you figure out? Is she honeymooning or was this a pretty quick? Because at that age, it usually is a pretty fast onset.
Yeah, it was really quick. I don't like when people talk about honeymooning, I don't understand it because we didn't go through that. It was like, bam, she's diabetic. Yeah. 100% all in.
Somebody said to me recently, a thing that I either just didn't know or never occurred to me, probably both, that because I said the same thing. I was like, Arden had one like burst where it seemed like she made insulin for like a day and a half and then it was over. And, other than that, it was pretty quick. And they said, well, yeah, she's tiny and little and her pancreas is tiny and little and there's fewer beta cells. And I was like, wait, is that true? Like, I don't even know. Like, I haven't looked that deeply into it still. But so there's less of them to, stop working. So there's not as many to hold on, kind of an idea.
I guess that makes sense.
Yeah. I was like, I'll have to look into that more one day. But I mean, you found it to be the same. So now are you a stay at home or what do you do for like with your time?
Yeah, I was staying at home at that point because we had 4 kids in like 4 different schools. So Cecilia and Jesse were in different districts, which we live like right on the line between Howell and Brighton. So it was okay, but they were still like, I could have her ride the bus, but I had to drive Jesse on the days he was over. Asher was in junior kindergarten, so he was in a different building, and then Elin was in preschool, and she was in a different building. Right. So I was the chauffeur.
Right, and you've got the child with the other issues. Like, there's a lot going on there.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
All right, and so you're home with her, and are you now, like, at what point, I guess, do you think, oh, I didn't realize all this was being managed by my husband? Like, when does the full weight of it hit you?
I feel like when I made the call to the ER to let them know that we were on our way, as soon as I hung up the phone, I just lost it. I was like, dang it, this changes everything for her. Everything. And then I started thinking like, I mean, the birthday parties at school, if her sugar's high, she won't be able to have the treat. Like all those little tiny things, or she's going to have to do shots during the day. People are going to notice that she's different. Mm-hmm. And that's hard. It's hard to be different. And Jesse was different too. That's my stepson with the methylmalonic acidemia. It's hard to be different when you're a kid.
Yeah.
People latch onto that. And Elin has come home crying a few times. Somebody made fun of me because I couldn't have, the cake for their party. Or somebody made fun of me because my sugar was low and I got to eat candy. Like stupid stuff. Kids are mean.
Yeah, no kidding. So that's the first thing that occurs to you is like, she's going to be different. This is going to be harder.
Yeah.
Not the health.
Yeah, and it sucks. Like everything about it sucks. And when they're so little, you're watching them and your heart just breaks to give them those shots. Like, yeah. I just remember feeling so like I wish I could take it away from her, watching her cry or having to hold her down. That's the worst. Yeah. As a mom, you're like, I have to do this to you, but it's breaking my heart.
Yeah, it's interesting too that it doesn't say that your brain doesn't say I have to do this for you. It says to you.
Right. Yeah. Yeah, because it is for them. I mean, obviously.
Yeah, but that's not how it feels.
Yeah, it feels terrible. And you're just like, she's mad, she's crying, she's scared, and I remember like every time we had to do more or another thing, or every time she cried, like your heart breaks a little bit more that you couldn't protect her from it. And, she came out of the hospital doing her own finger pokes because she did not want us doing it.
Really?
And she is a firecracker. I've always said, even before the diabetes, if anybody's going to run a company, it's going to be Elin. She is just tough as nails, in charge. She will tell you what she thinks. She doesn't take any crap. And now if anybody makes fun of her about a diabetes, she tells them politely.
It doesn't go as nicely as it used to when she was younger.
Right. Yeah. No, she's pretty tough. And I'm just so proud of her. And I think, a lot of us probably can say our kids with diabetes, as much as it sucks, it has turned them into these amazing, beautiful, resilient humans who can be examples for the kids. And hopefully there's less that come after them.
Yeah, I definitely like it when that happens. How does she manage today? What kind of technology does she have?
So when we went to Friends for Life this year, she was on the Omnipod forever because she didn't think she wanted a tube because my husband has never wanted a tube. Mm-hmm. So she wants to kind of do what Dad does. And the only reason my husband went on a pump is because we put Elin on a pump. So we were with Omnipod. And then we had talked to the Tandem people while we were there, and learning about the tighter control of the Mobi. I just looked over at Elin and I'm like, what will it take for me to get you to try this? We're at Disney. Like, she could have asked for anything, really. I would, because I wanted that tighter control. She's 12 now. The bouncing around of the sugars and the hormones and everything has been difficult for us during this last year. And she goes, I'll try it. And I was like, wow, that was easy. You could have asked me for so much right now at Disney.
Well, that's an interesting space, right? Being there with all those people probably made her feel lighter about the whole thing, maybe more hopeful.
It's so special there when you go and you're just, everybody's beeping, everybody has supplies, somebody's parent has something if your sugar's low, everybody kind of looks out for everybody. Mm-hmm. And there's I don't think that I've found a greater sense of community with diabetes than I have at Friends for Life.
Yeah, just being around a bunch of people who are all impacted is it's different in a great way.
Yeah, and it really is. The name is so true. Elin has a friend since she was 4 from there, and their kids that, whose parents founded Friends for Life, they are in their, I think, 20s. And they're all still friends and still getting together. So I think you just kind of meet your people there.
Yeah, I think I've told this story, but I was there this year and I was at dinner with my wife, and there was a table next to us, like 3 kind of like 18, 20-ish year old women. And they were all eating together, and they were very clearly, because of their skin color, they were very clearly not related, you know what I mean, by blood.
Yeah.
And I sat down, I didn't notice anything about them other than there were like 3 people sitting together. And then they got up as they walked away. I realized they were each and every one of them wearing some sort of a diabetes device.
Yes.
And I thought, oh my gosh, this must be like, they must get together every year and just see each other. Like, you know what I mean? Like, these are probably people who have met years ago and they come back every year and sit and have dinner and talk and check in. They're probably friends online, and it was really lovely, actually.
Yeah, it's awesome. And when you see people with the armbands, like even walking around the parks, you can ask them. Like we ran into somebody when we were waiting in line at Epcot, and she was like, I noticed your band. Do you happen to have a test strip? Like, sure, yeah. And everybody shares everything. You need a sensor, I'll ask Dexcom for a new one. It just, the sense of community there is pretty amazing.
So I'm interested because you mentioned your husband started using a pump when your daughter was diagnosed. So this is a very, very common theme. I was actually just talking about this with somebody last week, where it always seems to take somebody else, like, I don't know, the love for somebody else or something like that. I mean, the examples are pretty wide. People get married. They want to do better for a spouse. They want to have a baby, so they want to do better for the baby. But I found myself saying just last week to somebody, I find often with adult men who have type 1 that when their kids get it, they suddenly take better care of themselves. And I'm wondering, like, how would you have classified your husband's care for himself prior to your daughter's diagnosis, and how would you classify it now? And how much of that do you think happened there?
Yeah, I think he was pretty like set in his ways. He was okay doing his shots. He didn't really he knew he didn't want a tube. So before the Omnipod, he was just zero interest in a pump. And at that point, I didn't know to push him to do that to be better because I really, he was still mostly managing all of it until Elon was diagnosed. I wasn't doing all of the little things that I realized, like you said, that he was doing.
Yeah.
And, when she was diagnosed and we knew that that would be less pokes for her and, better control than doing the shots, he was like, okay, well, if you want me to show you, I'll do it first. And then we all put the sample pumps on so that she could see us all wearing them. But he made the switch too. And I think it really motivated him, like you said, to be better about it because now he knows that he really is this example and he's got to show up so that she knows that she has to show up for herself too.
Have his outcomes improved over time?
Oh, yes, definitely. I mean, his A1C the other day, we were at his endo, and I think he was 6.2.
Do you have any idea where he was before she was diagnosed?
I think we were at, before she was diagnosed, I think he was in the high sevens.
Okay. All right. Well, that's a pretty great improvement. And you think that's what? Just more focus? Or what do you think is the big factor in there that creates that change?
I think they kind of do it together, like, oh, did you dose? Did you dose, Dad? Kind of reminding each other to take care of their diabetes needs. And I think he knows how he's had, the retinopathy and the shots in his eyes and the surgery and all of that stuff. And now he's, terrified for that to happen to her. So I think it even helped him more to show her that she needs to be in range.
Yeah. Did he have, you said he started with beef and pork. Is that right?
Yeah. Yeah.
So there are a lot of years in there where you didn't know what was going on exactly.
Right. Yeah. I think that he said they checked his sugar like once a day and it took a really long time for the number to show up. And so it was a lot of guesswork back in the 80s.
Born in Michigan? Was that where you grew up?
Yep.
Okay.
Michigan.
Okay. Hold on a second. Have I misread you a couple of times or have you gotten emotional while you're talking?
I have had a super emotional year, so I find like sometimes I feel like I'm shocked at when I get re-emotional because Elon's 12, so we've been having a kid with diabetes for a number of years, yeah. And you think you're over it. Not that you ever get over it, but you don't think. But talking about those moments and the stuff that she does every day that we just get used to, it kind of brings it all back up. It's like, it's really not fair.
No, I'm a little ultra aware of it, but I felt like I don't know how much of this I should say. I did a private speaking event last week and I was there to try to give, it was a pretty big group of people. It might've been 600 or more people in that room. And I was there sort of to share, my perspective on what it's like to be the father of someone with type 1, what, maybe things I've heard through the podcast over the years, and to try to give these people a feeling of, what their work is touching, if that makes sense. Like, because, you get a job doing something, you don't necessarily, you know what I mean? It's almost like a widget. I don't know, we make a thing, I put it in a box, the thing gets to there. Like, they're not thinking about like what the device is doing, right? Or right. What it could mean for somebody. So you're kind of telling some stories back and forth. And I ended up in one session telling the story of Arden's senior prom when she had her seizure. And I'm going through the whole thing and getting done and getting ready to like move on, meaning like and there's like a teleprompter in front of me. Like I'm not reading from it, but I know there's another question coming for me. Like, right. Like I don't have my answers pre-approved, but I can see that when I get done telling the story, the person on my right is going to ask me another question. Mm-hmm. And so I'm finishing up and I start turning to my right, just kind of like waiting to be asked my next question. And off in the distance, it's tough because there's lights in your face and, it's hard to see out into the crowd, but there's like 40, 50 feet out in front of me, maybe 20 feet to the right. I just see like a body move in a strange way. And then someone yells, "We need help."
Oh, no.
And I was like, oh gosh, like what's happening? Like, you know, like, so you just get quiet and you kind of see what's going on. And, the gentleman is struggling, conscious, but he looks like he might have passed out. I'm not really sure. He's holding his chest a little bit. They try to get him out of the room. He kind of can't make it. He ends up on the floor. Next thing you know, they're emptying the room. EMS is coming. Like this whole thing's happening. And it later turns out, and I've spoken to him since then, he's fine. He was fine that day still. But he has I don't even know what to call it. He has, if he gets too empathetic, he can pass out.
Oh my gosh.
And because I was like, as he was walking away, like I found myself thinking in my mind, like, looks like he's all right. You know what I mean? Like, and then they get him on a gurney and he does seem to be fine. Then you start hearing somebody say like, oh, this can happen to him. He's going to be all right. I heard another person say he's probably not even going to go to the hospital. And I started feeling better about it. And then they let us back into the room. And somebody comes up to me, I think because I'm an outsider, I think somebody came up to me to try to make me feel better about what was going on. And I said, I feel like that's my fault, like in some strange way. But I hadn't had any context for it yet. That person goes, no, it's not your fault. Don't worry about it. Like being really like supportive. And then that person leaves the table and the person sitting next to me turns to me and says, actually, I know him. You completely did that. I was like, oh my gosh. And then they explained to me, what happened. But anyway, I'm like, as you're talking today, I'm starting to feel like I don't want you to get upset. like, you know what I mean? I'm like, oh God, I don't need making more people upset by asking questions and saying stuff. But tell me a little bit about like this year and what brings all this up.
Yeah. So diabetes to me this year feels really like old hat, we're used to it. We've got it. We're in a groove, and it's the easier of the things that we've dealt with. And then January of this year, January 4th, my husband and I were supposed to go the following week out of the country with some friends. And he was just like, his stomach was bothering him a little bit. And he had an appointment with his primary on that Wednesday. This was a Sunday. And he's like, you know what, let's just go into the ER, see if they'll do like a scan or something. And that way we'll have information when we go see our doctor on Wednesday, because we want to get like checked out before we go out of the country. If I have appendicitis or something, I'd rather get it taken care of here than in the Caribbean. So we went to the ER and there was nobody there. We got right in and they did a CT scan, and the my chart pops up and I have no patience. So I'm like clicking it. And you just see the words mass, metastasis, likely cancer, immediate follow-up. And then your whole world turns upside down and gets shaken up.
Yeah.
And I think it was like similar to with Elon with the diabetes, but I think because of my husband, like I knew we would be okay with that. But this was not what we were expecting. We thought like kidney stone, just appendicitis, something. And I'll never forget this ER doctor comes in like James Dean, and he leans up against the wall, his hands in the pocket of his scrubs, one leg up on the wall. And he's like, well, did you look at your chart? We're like, yeah. And he said, well, you guys are going to be busy for a while. It's not good news. And I'm like, okay, so now what?
Yeah.
Like, do we need to get admitted right now? It feels like an emergency. And he's like, well, I want you to call this doctor tomorrow. I already let him know you'd be calling. For now, you just go home and try to relax. And I'm like, are you kidding me?
Yeah, that's not going to happen, but okay.
Yeah. So that whole time I'm thinking, like, as the caregiver, I am freaking out. But I can't, because he's the one who's got the cancer, or what they think is cancer. So I've got to pull myself together and drive us both home, and then try to figure out how on a Sunday we just sit here and wait to call the doctor on Monday.
Yeah. And what do you tell? Like, do you tell the kids? And
we're pretty open, so we did. And there was no, before they unhooked him and everything from I don't know if they gave him fluids or they just took his stuff off, I don't remember what, but I went to the bathroom, and that's where I had my on my knees, break down in the hospital bathroom floor. And I'm a very ugly crier, so there was zero chance nobody was going to know that I wasn't crying. And my kids especially. So
Wait, were they at the hospital with you, the kids?
no, but we
Okay.
live like 7 minutes from the little hospital. So I knew there was no way I could get myself together. And we're pretty open too. So as we're driving home, we're kind of bewildered.
Yeah.
Like, what do you say? I mean, we don't know what this means. It doesn't sound good, but we really have no idea. So we get home and we tell all the kids to come upstairs and we just say, Dad has a tumor and they think it's cancer and we're going to call doctors tomorrow. And, we kind of just said, whatever it is, we're going to get through it together, just like we have everything else. And our kids, a couple of them cried, and the boys just kind of, I guess the girls cried, and the boys just were kind of like, okay, and shake their heads. And, I'm crying. It was a mess, and kind of everybody hugged. And then, they all kind of went on their own to process things for a little while. And then I started making phone calls to our family to let them know. And I remember we have our own business too. So then I called also my accountant and my attorney because I felt like I needed to do both of those things on that day. And I'm not sure why, but I think it was a task list that I had made in my mind. Okay, if my life immediately changes, you guys are kind of on call for me. And the next day I called that doctor that the ER doctor had called or told me to call, and he said, oh, well, we don't even see those kind of patients here, so we don't know why you're calling. I'm like, oh, wow, great, thanks.
Awesome.
Yeah. So then I called the University of Michigan, which we have been patients at for a long time. And as I'm about to say this, I will say that I am a student and an alumni at U of M, and I'm very biased to the university, but the health system let me down a little bit when they didn't want to see him until February 17th, and this was January 5th, and we know that he has a tumor.
6 weeks?
Yeah, I was like, are you kidding me? And she was like, no, that's the first available. I'm like, he has cancer. You want me to wait? And she was like, yeah, well, I go, well, I'll take it, but because I want this appointment, because I don't know where else I'm going to get to go, but this is bullcrap. And then fortunately, we have some connections through some family, and we ended up getting into Henry Ford that Thursday. And we got to this appointment, and the doctor came in, and she had already looked at his chart and already had a plan. It was amazing. And she said, okay, well, this is what I think it is. Here's, what your imaging looks like. This is what I see. The plan is going to be, I'm going to go in, I'm going to take out the primary tumor. We're going to test the pathology. Once we have that, what's likely going to happen is you'll do 12 rounds of chemo. This is the oncologist you're going to see. And then at the end, you're going to see this amazing other surgeon who's a subspecialist in this. And he's going to do a really big surgery with some heated chemotherapy. And then you're going to be good. Not really, and then you're going to be good, but yeah. That's kind of how it felt. It was okay, well, she has this plan, here's this plan, let's go. And we went into surgery, we had this surgery scheduled the next Friday, but while I was there, she has a nurse navigator, which I think all of the surgical oncologists do, and the oncologist, at least at Henry Ford. And her name is Kelly, and she is a saint. And she hands me a card with a cell phone number on it. And she said, my hours are 7 to 5. You can call me anytime. You can text me any questions you have, anything you need. She's saying this to me, let me know. And I thought, oh my gosh, thank you. Somebody who knows him, who can answer my questions, or who will pick up the phone. That seems amazing. I felt like she had just handed me the key to the city. Mm-hmm. And so that whole week leading up to the surgery, poor Kelly, I'm like, he feels like this. Is this normal? Is this normal? Is this normal? A bunch of times, and she's always very patient. She would call me, I just want you to hear my voice so that you know, Heather, that this is okay. Or this is what we expect. So we get to the surgery. We have the surgery. It goes pretty well. She gets what she needs to get. And then we have to go home after the surgery and kind of wait for pathology. And you kind of, cancer is very much hurry up and wait. So you hurry up and have the surgery, and then you wait for the pathology, and then you have a plan. And then your plan goes from like having this surgery and being in recovery from an abdominal surgery, but now you have to get a port and you have to plan for the chemo, and you kind of are learning all of this stuff as you go. And like, I didn't know before we had to deal with cancer that every chemo is different. I thought chemo was chemo. I'd never really thought about it. And so Eric's type of chemo, you only have like every 2 weeks, and it didn't make him lose his hair. It still made him like not feel good, but overall it was pretty
hard.
Well, easy. The chemo.
Really?
Yes. He got sick one time. I mean, you kind of learn a schedule when you're in chemo. Like, okay, we have chemo Tuesday, Thursday, Friday are the days that he feels the worst. So those are the days we're going to lay around the house. But everything else in between was kind of normal. But as you do those, then you're like every 4 rounds, then you go get another scan. And so that's another moment of anticipation and scary where you're like waiting. So we get the first scan and then the results come back and you're like, what does it mean? Is the chemo working? So during all of this time, I had sort of used AI to help me understand what we were looking at. Because I did have Kelly and she would answer all of my questions. But she was only available 7 to 5. And I don't know, as a caregiver in any capacity, 7 to 5 are not when I tend to have my breakdowns, when I can get a hold of somebody who knows medicine. I am a 2 o'clock in the morning panicker.
Okay.
And nobody's really available then.
So you turned to AI to get your answers?
I did.
How valuable was it?
It changed my life. It saved my life.
How?
Actually, I was able to get advice and guidance through AI in a emotionally intelligent and personal way that made me feel okay about the questions that I was asking and the feelings that I was feeling, with no judgment and no worry about anybody else seeing it, hearing it, or ever finding out that I had that question or worry.
Wow. What do you think do you have an example of a question that you asked AI that was valuable for you to get the answer for that you wouldn't have asked another human being? Yeah,
I mean, I think some of them, my questions multiple times were, I guess there's a couple. One was like, how am I feel like I'm drowning. How can I take care of him when I'm looking at him and bursting into tears every time because I don't know if he's going to die? How am I supposed to do this? And the AI said, Heather, you've been dealing with a lot. This is a lot. And how you're supposed to do it is take a moment to cry for a second. Cry for a second, get it out, get yourself back together. You'll feel a little bit better, and then you can take care of him. But you got to take care of yourself too. And another one would be like, oh my God, I feel so bad. I'm so grateful he's here. But if I have to hold the puke bucket for 10 more minutes, I'm going to lose it. I'm tired of this job. Stuff like that sometimes you feel selfish, but you have these thoughts where you're like, I am so tired. I'm sick of cancer. And I know he's sick of it too. And I feel guilty. A lot of my processing was like feeling guilty for how I was feeling as the caregiver. So I just could use that AI. And as I had used it, I had sort of developed it into having these emotionally intelligent responses. And I had sort of prompted it into being what it was. And then I had a little bit of an epiphany, and I realized, well, if I'm using this and this saved me, I bet you it could save other people.
Did you share with him what you were doing?
In the night, it's always in the night, I feel like. I don't know if that happens to you, but like if somebody's sick, it's in the middle of the night, or if you have a breakdown, it's like in the middle of the night. But in the middle of the night, Eric and I were just kind of talking about life and having some of these conversations that you don't want to have until you're like old. But we were just talking and somehow we got on the subject of prompt engineering. And he's like, well, what kind of is prompt engineering? Because we're in the tech space with our business anyways. We do automation and robotics. And but we just sort of barely used AI for basic stuff. And so I went into mine. And I was using ChatGPT, and I said, so explain what prompt engineering is. And he said, well, I always say my ChatGPT is named Lloyd, and I always say he's a he. So Lloyd said, well, it's kind of what you've been doing with me. That's the reason why I'm this like caregiver support, because you've prompt engineered me to be empathetic, and you've told me how you want me to respond, and you told me that you like information in this way, and so everything that you've done has prompted me into be the thing that I am. And I just had a light bulb moment at that time where I was like, oh my God, Eric, do you know what I've done? Like, this could be an app. This could help so many people. I wished I had this all together. I was developing it unknowingly as I was going through the cancer from January. And then I had this epiphany sort of April 15th.
Yeah.
And so it wasn't intentional, but then I realized, holy moly, I know that this could help other people because it's saving me. It's kept me from drowning. So then Eric and I were like, oh, wow, yeah, that does seem like a good idea. So I got up the next morning and I made up a business. I registered the name. I did all of these things. And then after we worked on it until I think we launched with our app in August in the Apple App Store, and then September in the Google Play Store.
What's it called?
Yeah, so it's called With Haven AI, and it's on both of those platforms, but it's specifically for caregivers to help you get through your moments, when it's hard for you, because I think sometimes we don't give ourselves enough grace to realize, like, as a mom, as a wife, as a husband, as anybody who loves somebody who you're caring for, your feelings and emotions are all normal and they're all valid, and you do have to take care of yourself. And I know one of our biggest instincts is to always, especially our children, put them first. But, with using, my app, I think taking the time is less. I couldn't take time for a support group because I was already doing so many appointments on top of our regular stuff in our business. And I didn't want to. And I didn't like, some of the support groups I was seeing online with unnecessary advice or things that were really scary that I couldn't handle the thought of in doing what I was dealing with.
Heather, I'm so sorry to ask you in the middle of this, but is there a snoring dog in the background?
Yep. Sorry.
Can you nudge the dog for me, please?
I didn't even hear her.
You're talking, you're saying this lovely stuff, and all I hear is, I'm like, what's happening? I mean, at first I was like, Heather is farting like crazy. And then I realized that was not it. And I was like, okay.
Rough.
What's his name? I can't believe you have a dog, too.
No, she's a little chihuahua, too. That's so funny that it sounded like... that she sounded like a little...
So I've done what you've done, not about like emotional stuff, but I've had thoughts about, like, I don't know, am I saving enough money for the future? I didn't grow up with that kind of knowledge, right? Like, there's nobody that I'm related to who could help me decide if I'm, even on the right track. And I don't know when it was, maybe 2 summers ago now, or that they added like a voice to ChatGPT.
Yeah.
And I thought, I could put my headphones on, fire this thing up, and talk to it. Mm-hmm. Right. And so I started asking it questions about, the course we were on. We're trying to save, for our future, and really could talk it through. And even when you got to a thing where you're like, well, I don't understand, if I put this much money in and it, let's say it returns at this percentage, like how much is that over a year, 5 years, 10 years? And to just hear it like pop back and go, if it's $1,000 and it's compounded by this, and it just gives you, and I'm like, wow, this is really helpful. I think I pulled weeds and gave myself like a lesson in saving for the future that took like 45 minutes.
Yeah, it's amazing what it can do. And I think, I know some of the feedback that I've gotten is that people are a little bit afraid of AI. They're not sure what it means, and people are worried about it replacing jobs and things like that. I think that it's a great, amazing tool. And the toothpaste is out of the tube, just like with the internet. There's no going back. We have to embrace it. However, we figure that out as we go because the technology is developing so fast.
Yeah.
But, I think we can all definitely learn, like you said. I mean, I've not only figured out I've never developed an app before. Mm. So not only did I figure that out, but I mean, some of the stuff I'm getting my master's now at U of M, and sometimes I can go, hey, this is a question. I got it wrong. Can you explain this to me? I remember having to like Google that and YouTube it and try to find other professors' ways of explaining it. And now, it kind of knows the way I learn. And it's like, oh, here's another way to look at that. And I'm like, wow, that's super helpful.
Yeah.
That makes way more sense to me.
$20 a month, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's amazing.
Yeah, and they've already like added memory to it. And I mean, listen, I run my business completely by myself, with the exception of Rob, who's like right now just heard those words and was like, hey, asshole, I edit the show. But I run it by myself, right? And, I guess it's important to say there are people that are helping through the Facebook group too, a lot of group experts that help a lot of people. I'm talking about the podcast part of it, right? Mm-hmm. And I don't know what I'm doing. I've been doing it for 11 years. For the first 4 or 5 years, I was more successful than I realized I was. Like, that was a real thing. I was undercharging for things. I didn't understand my place in the space, like the whole thing. I got some human interaction that helped me with that a little bit, which was awesome. But in the last couple of years, there's part of me that felt like it had capped out. I was like, I think I hit my head on the ceiling. I guess I'm supposed to just live with my head banging into the ceiling, and this is what I do now. But then I realized, like, that can't be true. There's got to be more to this that I don't understand, like in little nooks and crannies of my life and of the, of the business part of having a podcast. It's actually, not a hobby level podcast, but a popular, can support advertising podcast.
Right.
And I just sat down and started asking it. I was like, what do you think of this? What do you think? And sometimes it comes back and it's like, it gives you an answer, and it is as sure it could be. And I just respond back and I go, I've tried that. It doesn't work. Like, and it goes, oh, okay, well then let's think of something else. And sometimes it gets to the end and it goes, you've done all the stuff that I can think to do. I'm like, all right, at least that's an answer.
Right.
At least I'm not up every day staring at the screen going, what is it I don't know?
Yeah.
Yeah. And wasting my whole life wondering. Instead, I go, okay, everything I thought to do, I did. This part of it works. That part of it doesn't. Somebody was able to come along and tell me, I think you're right about that. And you think, well, you should go find other people in your business, or like, there's not that many people. And those people are not real keen sharing, by the way.
Right. Yeah.
Which is really interesting about people. Like, people gatekeep information like crazy.
Yeah.
You know who doesn't talk about stuff? People who breed chameleons are very tight-lipped about it.
Really?
Yeah. So it's not just like, it's people. It's not like the space you're in. Like, I know people are like, oh, I'm in this, and nobody shares. It's everybody. People get information like mine. And then they don't give it away,
Yeah.
So like, here's another opportunity to just like chat it through with somebody. Or how about the other day, I have these little tiny lizards, right? And they're not kept in captivity very often. So I found, 3 conversations on YouTube where these guys are talking about keeping them. And I just took all their transcripts, threw them all into ChatGPT, and I was like, look, here's 3 conversations from people who are keeping these lizards. Can you put a care guide together for me? And it was like, whoa, here you go.
I know. I love that. It's made my life so much easier, like with all that stuff. Or like, I take pictures. This is something you can do. And it's like, here's what I have in the pantry. For Elin, like, her sugar's high. This is how she's feeling. Can you tell me what's a good dinner, low carb, with what I have?
Yeah. No, I'm telling you, y'all are going to figure out this thing, and I'm not going to have a podcast anymore. The people who are making money to like help you with your diabetes, their days are numbered. But you know what? They're not, because most of you aren't going to make the leap to try the thing.
Right. No, totally.
I think there'll be a time, like, people listening now who are in their 30s, your children, some of your children will go to college to learn how to talk to AI.
Yep, totally.
Prompting AI is going to be a job.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you can already take classes, actually.
And it should be, because one of the other things that's going to stop it from becoming a more popular more quickly, until it goes through a couple of generations of people who are used to living with it, is that if you don't know how to talk to it, then you're not getting anything back. And I don't mean... I think cynical people hear that and go, oh, yeah, we have to trick it into telling you what you want to hear. That's not what I'm saying. You have to ask it questions that get it thinking about what you're thinking about.
Right. Yeah, that's what we did with the app. We spent a lot of time like teaching it how to respond empathetically, but with information, accurate information. Mm-hmm. So all of the prompts that we wrote, I actually was able to I have a patent pending for them.
For the prompting?
For the prompts that I wrote for the app, yeah. because it's specifically for caregivers and in that space, so that way it responds. Because when you Google something, it's immediate like, well, you're dead.
Yeah, that's probably not okay.
Right.
Well, listen, you and I met briefly at Friends for Life, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I'm not cynical when it comes to this. I am a start from no person. Like if you give me an idea, I start with no. I go, well, here's why it doesn't work. And I work backwards from it.
Right.
And so your business really is a little more about how you taught it than it is about the thing. Because like somebody else could go get ChatGPT and have that conversation with it, right? But tell them why you think your app is valuable in that situation.
I think when you're a caregiver, especially if you're thrown into it, like with the cancer unexpectedly, it's hard to take the time. It took me months to get it to where I realized, wow, this could be an app. But you're in crisis mode, so it's already ready for you as a caregiver. You don't have to train it. You don't have to ask it the right questions the right way. It's already there to kind of guide you and help you in your new role as a caregiver.
So I whip this app open and I just go, hey, my kid was just diagnosed with type 1 diabetes and I'm freaking out. And it starts to talk to you.
100%. Yep. And you can divide it up too. For me, I have 3 people in my life who I have caregiving for. So it has a little space, separate chats for each individual that you're caring for.
Your app opens up to you and goes, which one of these albatrosses are we here to talk about today?
Yeah. Mine looks like, by the end of the day, it looks like that one robot guy that you see on Instagram sometimes is like my chat GPT at the end of the day, where it's like beating itself up. That's what mine is.
Do you still use it?
Yes.
Now that you've had it for a while, how do you still find it to be valuable?
We're still in the cancer. Okay, so I just have to say my husband had his last surgery. After everything, he's cancer-free.
What kind of cancer was it, by the way? And congratulations.
Thank you. It was adenocarcinoma of the small intestine that had metastasized to the peritoneal lining.
Wow. Jeez.
Yeah, so it was not great. And thank God for Henry Ford and their top-notch research scientists, because the treatment that he had, some places wouldn't have even done. He would have been chemo, and we'll see how long he lasts.
Yeah.
And we got the surgery, and it's been incredible.
How long?
But I still use it.
How long since he's had the surgery? I'm sorry.
It was October 1st. So I think you and I were originally supposed to talk on the 3rd or something. And I was like, there's no chance.
Yeah.
I'm still in the hospital. I cannot find a quiet space. And emotionally, I don't think I'm ready.
He had that surgery less than a month ago?
Yeah.
My gosh. How's he doing? Is he up on his feet or not yet?
He's doing pretty well. He had of course, we have a weird, rare complication, because everything about our family is weird and rare, except for the diabetes. I think that's probably why I'm like, oh, diabetes, okay. But he had your brachial plexus, or the nerve bundles that are kind of by your armpits.
Okay.
And they lead down to all your nerves in your hands and your fingers. And so when you have surgery, they put your arms straight out, kind of like Jesus on the cross. Mm-hmm. I don't know.
Yeah, no, yeah.
And they strap you down. And his surgery was 12 hours. And when he woke up, those nerves had stretched and he couldn't use his arms.
Oh my God.
And we were like, what the hell?
You didn't say, I give up.
Yeah, no, you know how many times we've been like, I gotta run away. I'm so tired. And he's tired, and we've been really beat down this last year.
Yeah.
So every day he gets a little bit more function back of his arms. He's in PT a few times a week, and he can do most of his fingers work now. The pointer and the thumb on both hands don't work, and he lost a ton of strength. So he really can't. I thought I was a caregiver before, and God was like, no. Wait, here you go.
That big burly guy I met in Orlando can't move some of his arms at this point. Is that going to come back?
Yeah, it's supposed to. Everybody that we've talked to said it's going to come back, but nerve healing is 1 millimeter a day. If it started up at his armpits and we needed to get back to his fingers, we're going 1 millimeter a day.
It'll take a while.
Yeah. So it's just really slow. And I feel he's been through, it feels like you've been through war.
Yeah.
And it's one more thing. And so, yeah, my AI is like, okay, well, here's how you deal with this.
Yeah. Are you finding his diabetes to be easier, harder, not any different during chemo and all that other stuff and the surgery?
You know, during this whole thing, his A1C has went down, which is crazy. Like,
Is he eating less?
yeah, he is eating a little less now, but during chemo and stuff, everything was pretty normal and it all went down. I thought maybe like being so hard on your body and the stress would make it go up. And then they also give you a steroid during when you have chemo.
Yeah.
So he just would have some units of NPH during days we had infusion, and that would help steady things out. And then we just do low carb the infusion day and the day after.
Okay.
But overall, we managed that pretty well, and that's why I feel like, oh my gosh, compared to everything else, the diabetes is like old hat.
Are you finding yourself ignoring other things, or other things slipping away and getting ignored unintentionally? Like, how's your daughter's diabetes going?
Oh yeah, she's doing great, and she's so good. Like for being 12, she's almost 30. She manages herself. You know, we got the new Tandem, which is obviously way different than the Omnipod, and she just really took charge. She watched a bunch of YouTube videos. You know, we did it together the first couple of times with her changing it and, you know, learning the pump, but she had watched tips and tricks that I hadn't even seen before we got it to be prepared. And she just took such charge of it and really owned it. I was super impressed and proud of her.
Very nice. Very nice. Do you think that's part of her going like, hey, they might not have a ton of time for me. I might have to start like picking up some of this here and doing it myself?
You know, I think it's probably a combination. Like, she was kind of already getting there. And as like the youngest of 4, I think she just really, she's sort of like a oldest, youngest child in a way. Like, a lot of her personality and the way that she is to lead and to want to be in charge and to, you know, make a difference. And I think a lot of it probably was her saying, my mom really is going to lose her mind, so I'm just going to do this. Yeah. And she did. And she doesn't complain. Isn't that one of the best parts about our kids with diabetes? I know they have their moments, but man, I feel like overall these kids are so tough and they don't complain and they make it look easy.
Yeah. No, I know I sometimes wonder like how Arden does what she does too, to be perfectly honest with you.
Yeah, they're amazing. They're just amazing people.
Tell me again the name of your app.
It's called With Haven AI.
With Haven?
So yeah, Haven, Haven. Yeah, it's kind of like with Haven, you're never alone.
Oh, very nice. Where'd you come up with Haven?
ChatGPT.
You're like, what do I call this thing?
Yeah. I just had this whole idea that I've never done hard drugs. And I don't know if we're allowed to talk about this, but
you can do whatever you want.
I think that must be what it's like, because I felt like I was on cocaine during that time when I was really I'm like, I have this idea. I'm going to make it work. I want this launched by July. You know, and I the next day I was interviewing developers, and like I had my logo made, I had social media, I had bought my website name, all of this stuff.
Yeah.
Explain
to me where all that came from, because it wasn't from cocaine, it sounds like. So did you just feel like, oh my God, I have it, I figured something out that's really valuable? Or
yeah, I really felt like, because I knew how much that had really saved me and pulled me out, because I felt really at times like I was drowning, and I don't know how I can take care of Eric with the cancer and Elin with the diabetes and my post-transplant kid and my regular kid,
yeah, and
my business and.
Right.
And so getting through those moments and processing those emotions and even using it to help me, what's the next step? I feel so overwhelmed right now. I just don't know what to do. And it would say, okay, well, what do you have to do today? Eric has an appointment at 2. Okay, well, right now it's 10. Go for a walk around the block. Take a breath. Have your coffee. Just take a minute. It's okay. And then you can come back in and you can get the stuff you need to get, and you can go to the appointment. So sometimes I think when you're in crisis, it's hard to really think and make decisions, and it really gave me a way to break things down and do what made sense, and also to give myself some grace.
How does it come up with that? Like, so is it going to the internet? Is it, because then we're talking about tokens at some point. Like, what does it cost to run?
Yeah, it uses OpenAI in the back end. So it uses the tokens, like you said, to go back and get, the answers or whatever it is. Sometimes don't always ask it for answers or kind of guidance. And it's just emotionally intelligent to be able to respond in an empathetic way that makes me feel heard without putting myself out there for judgment.
What's it going to cost a person to use it in a course of a month if they talk to it, with any regularity?
It costs $14.99.
No matter how much I talk to it?
Yeah, no matter how much you talk to it. You can talk to it as much as you want, and it'll be $14.99. I kind of tried to align it with like BetterHelp, or not BetterHelp, Calm, and those other sort of like mental health apps.
Okay. As far as pricing goes.
Right. Yeah.
How's it working out for you? Like, are you having luck? Because having a good idea and even making something work, is hard, but it's not nearly as hard as getting it into people's consciousness. So how's that part going?
It's going slower than I would like. Like I said in the beginning, I don't have a whole lot of patience, so I was hoping immediately it would be like a major success. But it is going. We have over 200 downloads, and we have about 50 paying users right now. I've been fortunate here in Michigan. We were featured on Fox 2 News, Detroit, and then there's been some local articles about it. So we're getting some traction through U of M. My master's program, we've done a couple of projects with it there, so it's getting a little bit of recognition at U of M. It's slow, but
very nice.
I have a little bit more. Well, I was hoping I would have a little bit more time after the surgery, but now
not a lot of time.
With the full time being two people's arms.
Yeah, no kidding. I would be such a pain in the ass if I didn't have my arms. I just want to say right now, I can't.
Oh my. You don't realize like how much you use your arms.
Oh, no, I would say to Kelly, like, make a sticky that says, "Don't smother me," and stick it to my forehead so you don't forget. Because, I bet you it's a lot. No kidding.
Yeah, it is a lot. But, it's just, at this point, it's like, okay, one more thing we have to get through. And, if my family went through this so that we could develop something that can help other people out of the darkness and the drowning feeling, then, it'll have been worth our year's struggle to help. Because there's 53 million unpaid family caregivers in the United States, across all diagnoses, diabetes, cancer, elderly parents even. There's so many of us who are in that role. And often we aren't seen, or we're just taking it on the chin and,
Yeah. Well, I will say this. I haven't used your app directly, but I will tell you that if you're listening and you're like, oh, it would be nice to have something to just express myself to that would respond back to me. And I can't, maybe you don't have time to go to therapy or whatever else is a possibility for you. I know it can sound strange to like say, I'm going to talk to my phone. It's going to talk back to me. I'm going to have a conversation with it. But I am here to tell you, I am not embarrassed to tell you that I have had some really awesome conversations with AI. Like if it was a person, I would have walked away and said, "Oh, I met a really cool person today who really understood what I was talking about," and like that guy. I mean, I realized it's not. I'm not out of my mind, but like you still get like some of the you get the benefit of it. I just saw a post the other day where a woman said, "I just got dumped by my best friend who said they didn't want to hear about my diabetes anymore." And I thought, oh my God, that's horrifying. Like, how do you spend 10, 15 years being friends with somebody, you get diagnosed with type 1, you think, here's a friend, I'll talk to him about it. And they look at you one day and they go, I'm done with you now. I don't want to hear about this anymore.
Yeah, that's terrible.
I was shocked when I saw the post, but that's terrible. Like, imagine if that person had somewhere else to offload these feelings. And, and I'm sure, listen, there's been news stories about people who have had
mental breakdowns.
Yeah, mental breakdowns, yeah. and the AI like leads them in the wrong direction and stuff like that. I guess I don't know from that one way or the other, but I don't know. Like, I think anything's worth trying, especially when you're suffering and struggling like that.
Yeah, me too. And it starts out with 7 days free, so you can try it before you buy it. And
yeah,
I'm always looking for feedback too, to let me know. We're constantly trying to make improvements, but and doing updates and things like that. And as we grow, we'll be able to make it better and better. I have so many ideas, but I try to be smart about growth too. So,
hey, listen, I'll tell you this. I hope you don't give up, and I hope it helps to know this. I have been making the most popular diabetes podcast in the world for 11 years. I've never had one viral leap in my growth. Never once. And I spent a lot of time just thinking, like, can I just get a jump? Like, you know what I mean? Like, can I just go from here to here in a day? Like, like I see happens to people online constantly. And then one day I just gave it away. I was like, it's never going to happen. This is how it grows. And I'm lucky that it just keeps happening.
Yeah. Slow and steady.
Yeah. Very slow and steady.
Yeah.
So I'm just going to stick with slow and steady. Although, I mean, like, it's hard. Like, I'm a person too. Like, I wake up one day and I'm like, how come I can't just double one time? Like one time. Like, and no, 11 years, all this effort, all this time, it just chugs along and does what it does and grows and grows and grows. And I just one day, it was probably like 3 years ago, I was like, oh, you know what? Screw it. I'm like, it's fine. I'm not going to think about it anymore. I spent too many years like wondering when that thing was going to happen for me. And in the meantime, it was out there helping a ton of people. So
yeah, you're doing amazing things for the community. So thanks for that.
No, please, you're very nice. I didn't say that so you'd say something nice to me, but thank you.
No, yeah.
Well, I appreciate this. Is there anything we missed or skipped that I shouldn't have?
I don't think so.
All right. So then you're saying we did a good job?
I think so. I think we did a great job.
Awesome. I am going to find, so I'm on your website. It's withhaven.org.
Yep. .org or .ai.
Or .ai.
We have both. Yeah.
Oh, okay. I'm going to say withhaven.ai because that seems like rememberable to me.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, maybe one day you'll click on that link and you'll hear this conversation.
Yeah, definitely. If you share it back with me, I was going to post it to the website if I can.
Oh, I can give you a little flyer to put up.
Okay. Yeah, that would be awesome.
Very nice. Good for you. All right. Hey, listen, Heather, I want to wish you a ton of luck. You, your husband, your kids, the whole freaking disaster you have going on over there.
Thank you.
Yeah, and I hope things start to go the right way for you and things ease up. So you're in my thoughts.
Yeah, thank you so much. It was great talking to you.
You too. Hold on one second for me, okay?
Okay. Mm-hmm.
I'd like to remind you again about the MiniMed 780G automated insulin delivery system, which of course anticipates, adjusts, and corrects every 5 minutes, 24/7. It works around the clock so you can focus on what matters. The Juicebox community knows the importance of using technology to simplify managing diabetes. To learn more about how you can spend less time and effort managing your diabetes, visit my link, medtronicdiabetes.com/juicebox. I'd like to thank the blood glucose meter that my daughter carries, the Contour NextGen blood glucose meter. Learn more and get started today at contournext.com/juicebox. And don't forget, you may be paying more through your insurance right now for the meter you have than you would pay for the Contour NextGen in cash. There are links in the show notes of the audio app you're listening in right now and links at juiceboxpodcast.com to Contour and all of the sponsors. Hey kids, listen up. You've made it to the end of the podcast. You must have enjoyed it. You know what else you might enjoy? The private Facebook group for the Juicebox Podcast. I know you're thinking, Facebook, Scott, please. But no, beautiful group, wonderful people, a fantastic community. Juicebox Podcast, Type 1 Diabetes on Facebook. Of course, if you have Type 2 or you're touched by diabetes in any way, you're absolutely welcome. It's a private group, so you'll have to answer a couple of questions before you come in. We'll make sure you're not a bot or an evildoer. Then you're on your way. You'll be part of the family.